Hello students, welcome to Easy Elimu Learning Simplified. My name is Mr. Stanley Ombogo. So dear students, as we normally start, I believe that you are in good health and strength wherever you're watching us from. And in this session, uh, I'd like to bring to you something under short forms, that is tongue twisters. So previously, we have looked at, two genres, that is two short genres. Um, and talking about the two that we have looked at, I mean, the first one was Proverbs, then the one that followed was riddles, yeah. And in this session, I'd like us to go through the third short genre, that is tongue twister. So again, by the end of the session, of course, I expect you to be, having the definition of tongue twisters at your fingertip. Again, you are supposed to know some of the characteristics of this genre. And lastly, you are supposed to give, or you should be in a position to give some of the functions of this genre. So to start us off, tongue twister is a phrase containing a number of words that are similar in pronunciation and which are difficult to articulate in a single breath. So it is a group of similar yet difficult words that are systematically put in succession to provide a sound puzzle. So they are, they are puzzles, but are treated as sound puzzles because they are normally difficult to articulate. The fact that they, consist of words or sounds that are almost similar. So let's look at some of the characteristics of tongue twisters. So the first characteristic, dear students, is that tongue twisters rely on sound patterns. And again, when we talk about sound patterns, I think up to this point, even without giving the examples of the sound patterns, you are supposed to know these sound patterns that we talk about because they are repetitive. We will come across them in poetry. We have them here in oral songs. And again, you will come across them elsewhere. So the sound patterns are alliteration, assonance, consonance, rhyme, and repetition. So it's not only about giving the examples of these sound patterns, but you are also supposed to be able to identify them in these genres if you come across any. For instance, we all know that alliteration is the repetition of the initial consonant sound in a poem that is on the same line. Assonance, repetition of the vowel sounds, again on the within words on the same line. Then we have consonants that deals with the repetition of consonant sounds, but now not the initial ones, but those that occur in between, or we can say those that occur within words on the same line. So that was about the first characteristic. They are, that is, tongue twisters rely on sound patterns. So the second characteristic is that the meaning of tongue twisters are not, a necessary component. The meaning of those statements are not considered since many of them are meaningless. We can say that they are nonsensical. Another characteristic is that tongue twisters are characterized by exaggeration and understatement. So exaggeration can also be called an overstatement or hyperbole. So they are characterized by exaggeration and understatement. So those are also, stylistic devices. So, or we can call them features of style in language. The fourth characteristic is that tongue twisters lose meaning when translated to other languages. So if we have a tongue twister, that is derived from the Kikuyu language or Luo or Kisi or Kamba, the moment they are translated, to other language, For example, if we translate one of our vernacular tongue twisters to English language, then the meaning will be lost. The fifth feature of that is the fifth characteristic of tongue twisters is that they are created from the immediate environment. They are derived from our immediate environment. So let's look at some of the features of not features but functions, sorry, of tongue twisters. So tongue twisters have the following functions. The first is that they help to articulate words. So they are said to lighten the tongue, and that is why they consist of words with either similar or similar sounds or sounds that are almost similar. So another function is that tongue twisters sharpen wits in an attempt to coin them or articulate them. Then the next function is that tongue twisters enhance the harmony between what is heard and what is said. Then the fourth function, which is a very common function in almost all the short forms that we have, is that tongue twisters can also be used for entertainment. So we can use them, as pastime activity or for leisure. The other function is that they can be said to have an educational value as they aid in language development. So when we were looking at the characteristics, we said that most of them lack meaning, that is, they are nonsensical. But the only advantage that we have, or the only places when we can or where we can use tongue twisters for educational value is when we use them to aid our language development. So another function is that tongue twisters are useful for coded communication in some communities, known only to members of that community, especially when there is hostility or an attack. Then the other function that we have is that tongue twisters create a sense of identity for people from the same community. Then another function is that they can be used to introduce a narrative or a storytelling session. Then lastly, under the functions of tongue twisters, they employ styles. That is, tongue twisters employ use of styles such as alliteration, assonance, consonants, repetition, rhymes, etc. So I think we were able to explain some of those sound patterns and the characteristics of this genre. So the next question that I have, that is before we conclude and before I give you an example of a tongue twister, is who performs tongue twisters? So tongue twister, dear students, is a popular game among children. But other than that, they can also be used by adults to pass coded messages. So coded messages are messages that are only understood by a group of people, or maybe a community, or a given age set. Then the next question: when are tongue twisters performed? So we can perform tongue twisters during playtime. They can be performed in the evening as pastime activities, especially when children are waiting for their evening meal. So tongue twisters can also be performed when introducing a narrative or in a storytelling session. So we can also perform them during gatherings as a form of entertainment. Then also in the course of a formal learning session, we can use tongue twisters to aid in pronunciation of words. So I have an example of a tongue twister. I don't know whether I'll, okay, let me just try it. So the example is here. Faith faithfully facilitated Fairly fortnight for the fair at the former factory facing famous Fairly Faith. Oh, that's so nice. I'm good. Let me just, go through it one more time because it's interesting. So, Faith faithfully facilitated fairly fortnight for the fair at the former factory facing famous Fairly Fate. Wow, wow, wow. I'm going to rate my 10. I'm giving myself a 10 out of 10. So, dear students, that brings us to the end of the session. I hope it has been, interactive and educative. Uh, Thank you for keeping it easy, Limu, and remember to always keep it easy, Limu. Until next time, bye.